21-year-old John Burks Gillespie, a native of South Carolina, played trumpet in Cab Calloway's band.
Cab Calloway's band was the big leagues for a black musician. The money was good and the traveling was easy.
Gillespie's tendency to clown around earned him the nickname Dizzy. But he was also a serious musician with hopes of leading his own band.
Dizzy wanted a big band because he had played with big bands ever since 1935. And everybody wanted to have big band. I mean, the big band is still the main vehicle for a certain kind of jazz which you can only get through an orchestra.
Cab Calloway had a very commercial band, but his orchestra, which was always very well organized, was not a place where someone like Dizzy Gillespie could show off. Dizzy got in a lot of trouble. He was always clowning around, living up to his name. He played the music very well, but he did things that upset the decorum.
After his set with Calloway's band, Gillespie often headed to Minton's Playhouse in Harlem, where he was developing his style in jam sessions with other musicians.
Before we came along playing the music, a guy either played legato or staccato. Or staccato. See? But we do, the way that we play, we play them all together. You see, if you will notice, some of the notes I'm attacking and some I'm slurring.
Calloway fired Gillespie in 1941 after the two men fought violently over Gillespie's behavior.
Despite losing the good job with Cab, I was quite self-assured, knowing that many musicians considered my style of playing to be very new, original, and distinctive. I felt I had something new, a real chance of creating some beautiful music and gaining the proper payment, respect, and recognition for it.
Gillespie moved from one job to another, working in 10 different bands in 1 year. In one band, he began playing with the innovative saxophone player, Charlie Parker, known as Bird.
And they were developing in between sets and in between dances and so forth. They would work on these ideas that they both had, and they were delighted, each was delighted to find someone else who thought the way he did.
A lot of guys played fast, rapid, and won, these cats. But they didn't play the notes that Charlie Parker played. His modus operandi was different, how he attacked and how he swung.
Oh, to hear Charlie Parker play in the 40s, a whole new world. Nobody played the alto like that. They were just notes, 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 lyricism, and just that tone.
Parker and Gillespie formed a combo in 1945 and wowed audiences on New York's 52nd Street.
52nd Street was really one of the most exciting places for a jazz musician to be. On one block of 52nd Street, between 5th and 6th Avenue, 10 clubs on either side of the street. There was a literal history of jazz.
In a world of glitter and glow.
And on those clubs, you had everybody from, over the period of time, Stuff Smith, Fats Waller, comedy groups, musicians who represented very clearly the New Orleans tradition. You heard in the same club people from Chicago who represented the Chicago style.
Their early records, the way that they phrased together, they played like one horn, and they really pushed each other to higher levels.
I was at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and some of the guys from New York were talking about 52nd Street and this new music, and they were beginning to play it. It was just a new, fresh sound. We'd never heard sounds like that before. The flatted fifths, the dissonances that they brought into it, the rhythm of the drum. The drum was no longer just keeping the straight time. They were dancing through the music, skipping through the music. There was a whole lot of bass drum stuff that was happening that hadn't been happening before.
The new sound became known as bebop. Swing musicians and their fans, especially those who had been off fighting the Second World War, often ridiculed the music.
Musicians came back and said, "What's going on? This is not what I left when I left home." And not being able to immediately figure out what was going on, many of the musicians decided to put it down because they were uncomfortable with it, and they had had enough strange stuff being in foreign countries.
One of the reasons the mainstream audience, including the critics, many of whom were very hostile to the initial boppers, one was you get used to a sound. You get used to a way of feeling when you hear music. And Bird and Dizzy was different. And unless you opened yourself to them, you resisted whatever it was they made you feel.
Gillespie intended to win converts. In 1945, he assembled his first big band, the 16-piece Dizzy Gillespie Orchestra. The band's debut tour through the South was a disaster. Southerners hated the new sound, and the musicians hated Southern segregation. Hoping for a warmer reception, Gillespie and Parker decided to take their music to Los Angeles.
Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker wanted to take bebop out there because all the musicians came back from the coast saying, "Man, everybody, I went out there and I played bebop. Everybody loved it. They can't wait till you guys come out."
We hit some grooves on the bandstand at Billy Bird's, but the audience wasn't too hip. They didn't know what we were playing, and in some ways they were more dumbfounded than the people down south.
It had a disastrous effect on Charlie Parker and Dizzy. Charlie got into had some problems, some drug problems out there, and Dizzy had some financial problems, and I mean it really was a disaster for each of them individually and collectively.
Parker remained in Los Angeles and continued a downward spiral that landed him in the state hospital. Gillespie and most of the band returned to New York as criticism of bebop intensified.
These guys were they were going with white women. They were taking dope. They were taking music over, and they were living a lifestyle that just infuriated a whole bunch of people, you know, and sort of laughing at the world as they did it.
I remember one interview, and it blew my mind. I was a kid, but Louis Armstrong said he'd rather listen to Guy Lombardo than Dizzy.
It changed American attitudes toward jazz, but it also divided the audience, unfortunately. I mean, that huge audience, American audience, for whom swing, I mean jazz in the form of swing music, was their music.
Naturally, you have to have a maverick sensibility and adventurous and a lot of courage, you know, to say we're going to take this leap, you know, whether we make it or not.
In 1946, Gillespie assembled his second big band. This one was more successful with critics and audiences. Jivin' and Bebop, a feature film of the band performing, won them more fans. The following year, a Gillespie single sold an astonishing 700,000 copies.
I was into rhythm and blues, as most of us were. You know, my cousin gave me these records, Solo's early bebop records. This music, it brought different ideas to my mind.
Some of the young people were attracted to bop initially through Dizzy particularly. The beret, the dark glasses, the whole dress, the manner. So it was hip to be with somebody, with a group of musicians who were so ahead of everything.
Give me a little tune to pep me up.
How about shooting you a little dynamo, eh?
Well, all right, blast away. Ow!
I liked Dizzy's persona from the beginning. I painted a picture of Dizzy Gillespie on my skate box with those dark glasses and beret on. I never went skating. I couldn't skate, but I had a skate box. The skate box had Dizzy's picture on it. It said, "To be or not to bop."
When Dizzy Gillespie and his orchestra played Carnegie Hall in 1947, it was confirmation that the music had arrived. Charlie Parker reunited with Gillespie for several numbers. By 1948, bebop was an international phenomenon.
And this is to you from Downbeat for being one of the top trumpet men of all time. Congratulations, Diz. I mean Dizzy. I got a little informal there. You boys got anything more to say?
Well, Earl, they say music speaks louder than words, so we'd rather voice our opinion that way.
What the Gillespie-Parker School has created, I think, deserves serious attention. I am anxious to see how far this group of inventive musicians will carry this trend and how much they will succeed in enlarging the scope of the language of jazz.